Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and isn't football a wonderful, wonderful game? We've had all the emotions in that game, the fast start, the stall in the middle, but when it matters, we get the winner, and boy, are we enjoying that one. So absolutely buzzing to bring you this post-match live stream after a brilliant 1-0 victory for Rovers against bogey side Luton Town this afternoon. What a way to win that game in the end, and we are thoroughly happy about that, and I can see that you all are in the comments, which I'll pick up in a moment. We've got our usual four-man panel tonight. We've got Joe, Rovers Analytics, back with us. Nice to have you back, Joe. How are you doing?
Thanks very much. Not too bad. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm buzzing, mate. I was out in this garage 15 minutes before the start, ready to just be a bit, come on. So yeah, buzzing with that, mate. Alex, you're back with us. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, Ryan. I noticed you posted the link that we all have to join like at 5 o'clock. You were very eager to get on, weren't you, for this live stream? But yeah, really happy to get the win, obviously. And God, like I said last week, they don't come around too often, so you've got to enjoy them when they do come around, haven't you? So yeah, really happy.
Absolutely. You've got to enjoy victories like that, particularly in the last 5 minutes. And Glenn, I was reliably informed by yourself that your post-match live stream record was nothing to be desired. So you're another man who is celebrating doubly tonight, aren't you? How are you doing?
Brilliant. Thank you. Enjoying this, celebrating the victory. Like I say, it's first time I've been on after a win for months now. So Mr. Positive will be even more positive tonight.
That's what we like to see. We're going to be bathing in positivity tonight and set up everyone's Saturday nights in the right way possible. So we will dip into the comments before we do some of the niceties. Callum Robinson was first out. Luton's stalling tactics came back to bite in the worst possible way. Absolutely, they did. And then Ethan James, especially when there was only 3 minutes added on. Yeah, that's right. Autumn Penkridge, I'm sure we're all thinking this. Attractive press / possession or hard to watch ugly wins. Points what matter. Absolutely, that is correct. Tim Young, Holby and Gallagher set up Armstrong for the winner. Well done, Mowbray, on the substitutions. They all injected much needed life into the game. Yes, they did. And fair play to Gallagher, says Autumn Penkridge. 𝐂𝐻𝐃𝐄𝐎, get in, is what he says. Did see some of your tweets on Twitter, though, 𝐿𝐻𝐃𝐄𝐎. You were feeling the pain at one point, so I'm sure you're a happier bunny now. Jonathan Secker, come on, you Blues. Scott Taylor, get in. Great to get another clean sheet. Douglas, brilliant save. Yes, it was. And then Michael Pearson, what a win. Ugly as sin, but who cares? I don't care, and I hope that you three don't care either, because I don't. It's the points that matter, as Autumn Penkridge says. So just before we get into the thick of this stuff, just a few reminders for people. If you are joining us for the first time, we are Rovers_chat on Twitter. Please do give us a follow. On YouTube, we are Rovers Chat. Please hit the subscribe button as we edge towards 1,000 subscribers. Just a little plug for Monday evening. Jonathan Secker will be hosting a very good transfer special, where hopefully we'll be able to confirm the Harry Pickering signing amongst maybe some other rabbits in Tony Mowbray's hat. So join Jonathan at about 8:30 on Monday, and we'll see that right through to the 11 p.m. deadline. A couple of other things. If you do want to join us on the show tonight and come and bathe in the glory of that victory, hit a DM to Rovers Chat, send us a message. We'll get you on the show and you can come and join us and ask a question, as some of our viewers have done before, like FM Works and a few others have done that before, so come and join us. And as a final one, just before we get into the game, just a reminder that we are proudly sponsored by 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you to 𝐂𝐎𝐎𝑍𝑒𝐓𝐷.com for their very, very kind sponsorship. I'll just pick up a few more comments because they are coming in at the rate of knots, and I want to give everyone their airtime before we go to the panel. Harry BRFC, last-minute detour to Ewood Park for the HMS Pistol League. I like that. Alexander Haven. I've lost the comments. Here we go. Alexander Haven was the next one, Dan. That was painful viewing. I needed my shot of whiskey and my coffee. Leap year man, a win is a win, and that is all I can say about that. Ollie James, evening gents, predicted 1-0 and Armour with the goal. We'll be having a word with 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐃 for not taking the free kick. You did predict that. That is very true. Daniel Petit, great stuff, lads. These are the games we have to fight like the dogs and win. Absolutely, we do. Parky 1981 always said Gallagher was a good one. Ben Smith defended well today over the last few. Less pressure on the front line now, giving us chances to nick games like today. Yeah, we're going to pick that up in today's show, actually, Ben. We've certainly noticed that defensive improvement. And then Abby Star, show some love for Galley and Douglas. They are improving by the week. So that's most of the comments picked up there. Joe, as you're returning to us after a little hiatus, going to come to you first. I am clearly buzzing beyond belief with that victory. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a weird one when you look at the league table, isn't it? It's suddenly everything feels very different, and all your thoughts about where the season could go. And yeah, I think the last couple of games have definitely been quite positive, and nice to see us play well defensively. So good to be back, and good to be back in such a positive light as well. And I'm looking forward to nitpicking this game with you guys.
Absolutely. Football is a funny old game, isn't it? And I think about some of the emotions and feelings we've all had on these streams, you know, in weeks gone by, and how far away it seemed we were from the playoffs. And all of a sudden, we're 3 points off 6th place. It's quite remarkable. And they say it about the championship every season, but it is just a bonkers league that no one can predict. And boy, does it toy with our emotions. Glenn, you are returning to us as well. Sum up your feelings and your thoughts after that game.
Massive 3 points is all I can say. I think we weren't brilliant today. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, but to kind of nick a goal and then hang on with the pressure. I've just seen one of the comments there about 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐃. I think he's brilliant, just in terms of kind of like just taking the pressure off that defence. You're under the cosh late on. He comes out, he's big Belgian frame, grabs the ball, takes all the pressure off. I think that can't be underestimated in those 1-0 victories. And yeah, it's nice to win 1-0. It's, as Mourinho says, it's the perfect result. You've not conceded, you've scored 1 goal. It's brilliant. Yeah, it makes Saturday a lot better.
That's right. Just a little note. 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐃's mine, so hands off. I am the chief exec of the Tommy K fan club, so let's not be getting involved there. But no, he's great. It's exactly what he brings to us. And Alex, you went pretty bold in your prediction. You said there was going to be a first half goal, but there wasn't. But, you know, we got the win in the end. How are you feeling?
Obviously feeling very good about the win. I think you can categorise performances into good performances offensively or defensively. We were nowhere near what we can be going forward. I think that's pretty clear from, you know, just watching the game and what we've seen for the rest of this season. But I think the back five is starting to show some consistency now. We're starting to get that consistency of selection that we've all been crying out for, that we've not been able to have just due to injury. So we've managed to get that consistency of selection right. And lo and behold, we keep 3 clean sheets in 4 games and we get 10 points this month. It's a big step forward. I don't think we're playing particularly better than we did over the Christmas period in terms of creating and scoring goals. But I think you're seeing a massive improvement in doing the basics well, defending set pieces well, which we'd started to get a bit slack on. You know, you look at the Huddersfield game, for example. So we've kind of tightened up those areas that we'd slacked off on a bit. And you've seen the rewards of that because I think with this quality we have in the squad and you look at the bench we've got, you're always going to back us to score a goal somewhere along the line with just the sheer amount of quality in this squad. So, yeah, pleased just to see a bit of defensive structure in the team. That's what I'm most impressed with today. You know, and I've been quite consistent on this. I'm very, very happy to see winning football that's defensively structured, and looks like there's a plan there. I'm not wedded to the sexy football brigade that, are happy to lose if we have 20 shots on goal. I'm very, very happy to win games ugly like that if I can see a plan and a structure in place. And that's certainly what we saw today, I thought. And very happy with it.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back into the comments again before coming to you, Joe, as we go into the detail of the game. So Dan, about 5 minutes ago, Jonathan, George Graham would be loving Rovers at the moment. Come on, everyone, let's sing together. 1-0 to the Rovers. Mr. Concept, excellent win today. Hi, Brandon here from Singapore. Well done for Rovers today. Good to have you, Brandon. I think this is possibly your first time with us, so thanks for joining us. Michael Pearson, got to call it Monday Night Secca. I like it. I like that. FM work, summing up where I think my emotions are. Get in! 2 points I took from today's game. Plus point, Mowbray was standing up and motivating. Negative point, Elliot's hair getting in his eyes. Yeah, he certainly had a strange change of hair there. And then Jonathan Secca, did anyone see Nathan Jones at the end of the game? Made a right tit of himself. Oh, no, I didn't see that. So please elaborate, Jonathan. I've seen some of the post-match quotes, and he seemed fairly kind of humble in defeat, I think, from the stuff that Joe's been posting into our private chat. So we'll pick up those in a moment. So as we usually do, we'll just start to unpick the game in a bit of detail. So Joe, I'm going to come to you first. We sometimes ask the question about whether it was a fair result or how did the game go or anything like that. So from either a stats point of view or formation point of view, what have you picked out from the game today and how Rovers have got the job done?
Well, it wouldn't be a post-match show with me and Alex if I didn't try and debate him a little bit. So I'll come back at him slightly. I don't know if anybody wants us to lose games but look good. We all want to win for sure. But I actually think we did play well today. I thought we did play some attractive football despite the beach that we were playing on. I really thought that especially Harvey Elliott, Joe Rothwell, Ben Brereton, Adam Armstrong, they all look really sharp. That first 35 minutes in that first half is some of the sharpest football we've played all season on basically the worst pitch we've played on all season. So I think we had a really nice blend of some very sexy football in the first half and some very back to basics traditional football in the second. So maybe both me and Alex can get something out of that fixture, and of course we win. So there's no better compromise, is there? Obviously, we just brought up the XG stuff there, so I'll just touch on it from a stats perspective. Rovers at 0.83, Luton at 0.27, so probably showing that a draw would have been a fair result. Neither side really particularly threatening, kind of really only one attempt on goal in the game, if we're not counting the disallowed stuff at the end. Rovers probably the more threatening in general, as you can see from the map there as well. And of course, Adam Armstrong didn't get a shot away with his early chance, but if he did get a shot away there and didn't score, that would have had a very high XG value. So maybe 1-0 is a fair result from a stats perspective. And yeah, I just think a nice balance today of sexy and traditional.
And just to stick with you, Joe, I think the other thing you picked out, we had a higher XG and won, which hasn't been the case all season. Is that right?
Well, not the case all season, but there's kind of a graphic here from our games before today's fixture, which kind of shows you our XG and XG against in the last 7 games. And you'll see that Rotherham and Birmingham are the only 2 games where we've had a higher XG than the opposition and got wins. We had a higher XG away at Stoke, a higher XG than Sheffield Wednesday at home, higher than Huddersfield away, and didn't pick up many points at all. And we're now kind of heading into this period where we're starting to win games that we deserve to win, scrape draws out of games that are very even, and even with the Middlesbrough game as well, win games that perhaps we didn't deserve to. So I think that all comes down to the defence, and I'm sure we're going to unpick all of that today.
Yeah, we will. And Glenn, I'm going to come to you. Teammason86 has made a comment here. Gone back to basics when needed. Wins start to build confidence also, keeping the same back 5 key. So do you think we are overall looking more confident in defence now? And even in that first half where it felt like Luton could get us with the sucker punch and things like that, did you feel more confident in that defensive unit overall today?
I think overall, yeah, I feel more comfortable with that defensive unit. I think Lenihan's a completely different player next to Brantway, and Brantway looks fantastic. For me, he's the reason we're kind of keeping clean sheets. That back five, in combination with managing to keep the same back five over a couple of games, get that consistency. But there were a few times today where a better final ball from Luton and there was an easy chance in the box. There was a couple of times they'd cut it back, didn't quite reach its intended target, but we were kind of wide open. And I think even it was either just before or just after we scored, they broke and they said in the commentary, it's 2-on-2 in the box. If he gets a decent ball in here, there's a chance. And I think there is still a little bit of tidying up to do, but I think it's all positive for me at the minute. It's going the right way. And I think a lot of that is down to 𝐂𝐿𝐒, obviously, your fan club, in terms of being that commanding goalkeeper, but also Brantway coming in and being that left-sided centre-half and kind of taking a bit of pressure off Lenihan and that consistency. I did wince a bit when he went down at the end of the first half and thought, oh, God, not another one. But he's carried on, and I think that says a lot. He plays a massive part in the 1-0 wins, is being solid at the back.
Absolutely. And Alex, you were on the pre-match show as well, and we covered it in a bit of detail, and also when we were talking about the predicted lineup as well. You know, no coincidence. In the last 3 games, we've had 2 wins and a draw when we've been able to pick the same goalkeeper and the same back 4. The 4 games in January that we've had, it's 10 points from the 12 games, just the 1 goal conceded. So these are all really positive things, which we have been saying on the streams all season, that the better sides in this division can name that settled defence. And I think one of the comments from earlier on, I can't remember who it was, said that if you do that defensive stuff right, even in games like today where Joe's shown that we've had a low XG, it keeps you in that game. And then you can have that one moment like what Adam Armstrong's been able to do today, can't you?
Absolutely. And I think the prime example in English football right now is Liverpool. You know, they had a consistent back 4 for 2 or 3 years and improved year on year on year and managed to perform at an exceptionally high level and won the Premier League. And you see that defensive unit crumble this season, and you see the results of that just in the performances and the results they've been getting. They've dropped way off the pace compared to what they've been. So you see the importance of having a consistent, solid back line. I think one thing I will give Mowbray this season, a lot of the changes he's made have been enforced. A lot of them have been unavoidable. I suppose you could point to the recruitment in the sense of, you know, do you recruit an injury-prone player and then complain when they get injured? You could maybe point to that. But I think nonetheless, a lot of the changes have been enforced and you know, not due to a manager's error. So you've got to take that into account. And I'd just qualify what I said before about, you know, I'd be the first to say I'd love us to win 5-0 every week with 75% possession. But in this league, it's just not realistic. You know, you don't play well every week. You know, I'm not naive to think that. And I think when we're not playing well going forward and, you know, passing between the lines, I just like to see a bit of that grit and determination, which we saw from Barry Douglas at the end there. Just that bit of grit and determination to keep the ball out of the back of the net. And I think that's what we've been missing at times this season, just on occasion. And it's probably cost us a few points. And so, yeah, that's what I take from today's game. And, you know, you look back at our promotion season from League One, other than probably Darrell Lenihan getting injured on the first game of the season away at Southend and coming back in February, we had a pretty consistent back 4 overall. Certainly when we went on that good run from October onwards, it was very, very consistent, even in the other positions on the pitch as well. And, you know, you look at all of the clubs up at the top, they mainly got consistent back 4s. And it's no real surprise, to be honest with you. You cannot perform at your top level and perform at the consistency required if you're constantly trying to adapt to new people around you all the time. It's just not feasible. Delighted, obviously, to keep another clean sheet. And I think we'll need to keep plenty more of them if we want to stay in that hunt for the top 6, because unbelievably, we've managed to claw ourselves back into it. You look at the league table and you've got to say that with 20 games left, 20 games is a lot of football. There's a lot of points there to play for. And only being, a few points outside of it, yeah, we're back in the race somehow. Don't tell me how we've got back into it, but there we are.
That's it. And what we've got scrolling across the bottom here is a comment from Mowbray. So we'll have to be better at times in the next few months if we're going to compete for promotion. But there's a lot of football to be played. And I'm not surprised by that comment from Mowbray, actually. You know, this is a manager that prides himself on attacking football, possession-based football, creating lots of chances. And Joe's just shown a stat, 0.86 XG today. That's going to infuriate Mowbray. So Joe, if I just put a slight dampener on it, which I don't want to do, this is the only dampener I'll do today. Luton did look a bit dangerous in the first half in particular. There was a little air of sucker punch that might have just got us before half time. Yes, it's all good having a solid defence and a solid unit, but if we are, like Mowbray said here, if we are to compete in the top 6, we are going to have to show more than 0.68 XG with that settled defence, aren't we?
Yeah, it's funny because we were at 0.86 against Borough, and I think something like 0.83, very similar today, and grinding out 1-0 wins. And maybe having 1.92 like we did against Huddersfield and losing the game just isn't the way to go. So maybe inwardly and within his analyst department, they might be quite happy with the way that's gone, because whilst we're down from 1.92, and just bring this up again just so I can show you, obviously, whilst we're down from 1.92 against Huddersfield, look at Huddersfield's expected goals in that game at 1.62. We kept Luton today down to a very humble, where have we got it? It's here at 0.27. So maybe less XG for us, but also a hell of a lot less XG for them, which might be the way to go. So, we go to QPR and it's 0-0. Okay, it's an away point. But if you don't concede, you don't lose games. So maybe they won't be too disappointed with that XG stuff.
No, they won't. I'm just going to come back into the comments, Glenn, before coming to you. So Dan, let's go to Warren Selby at 5:28. Don't pump it up. We're going up, and I think Warren has confessed to being a little bit drunk. So I don't blame you at all, Warren, for being like that. Simon Child, keeping it tight at the back is the way of winning games when the pitch does not allow the free-flowing play. It's a sensible tactical adjustment. 𝐿𝐿, the thing that worries me is the lack of goals in the first half. We will pick that up a bit later in the show, 𝐿𝐿, as a talking point as to how the game went, particularly that golden chance for Armour very early on, which could have just made this an entirely different game. Newman Ali, I love the bite and steal that the team has at the moment. FM Works thought Douglas played well today. Ben Smith, Tony Mowbray making good subs of late as well. If he deserves the bad stuff, then he deserves the credit for the games he is changing. Absolutely, Ben. We'll always be balanced and equal on this show. So spot on with the substitutions, the last 2 games in particular, I must say. Gareth Devlin, good result today. We need to push on. Big test against an average QPR, followed by Preston and Barnsley, who are only 3 points below us. Really need points from these games to realistically stay in the hunt. Yeah. Ross Gibson called a 1-0. Not a great performance. Substitutes made the difference, especially Dolan. Yeah, Dolan's probably going to go a bit under the radar today with the fact it was Holtby's free kick onto Gallagher's head, and Armstrong's obviously got the goal. So we will talk about Dolan a little bit, I'm sure. Hello to Sean Morris, who I am assuming is a Luton Town fan. Go and have a good evening, Sean. I don't think you need to be on our channel. Kevin Bradshaw, the difference between good sides and great sides is being able to grind out results when you're not playing your best. 3 points is all that matters. And Ryan Rich, we'll finish with your comment. Boys, you've convinced me that we're going up. So Glenn, that was just a canter through some comments there. The next part of the show, we just talk about players who we felt played well today. Some have mentioned Barry Douglas. Some of us have said Lenihan and Brantway, for example. Who's your player that you're picking out today for a good performance?
I usually come on and say there's a lot of 6 out of 10s and no one had a really bad performance. I think today there was a lot of 7s. I don't see anybody that was kind of stand out above everybody else. I thought, like you say, Douglas had a great game, one of his better games in a Rovers shirt. I thought going forward and defensively. Although he got hooked kind of in the second half, Elliott, the first half there was a ball from, I think it was Rothwell, and he pinged it up. It's coming down with snow on it, and he's just took a touch and it's dead. He's away. His kind of football brain and his touch is just, for a 17-year-old, is phenomenal. So special mention to him. But I saw a comment about Dolan as well. I think recent weeks I've said we don't have a plan B as such. Our plan B is the same plan with different players. But I'm going to correct myself on that a little bit now. Dolan is a completely different player to Elliott. He gets the ball, he drives, he's all action going forward. I know Elliott's more on the ball, passing it, spraying it, picking a pass. But Dolan gets it and he's just off. He's down that touchline. So I don't think I could probably pick a man of the match. I think pretty much everybody can probably come out with their heads higher that game and say, you know what, I had a decent performance. I'm 7 out of 10 and I've contributed to that victory in some way.
Yeah, I think so. I think all the little niggly things I saw through the games, like, Lenihan seemed on point with his tackling and Travis was breaking up the play at times and Brayton had a few runs here and there. I think, it was a game where everyone just seemed to plug away like that, didn't they? So it was good. Alex, can you pick anyone out for special treatment today? Who stood out for you?
I've already mentioned the Douglas clearance, which I thought was fantastic. But I think the one player I want to call out that is Thomas, because just the presence of mind to claim that corner in injury time. How long is it since we've had a goalkeeper that can do that at that crucial time of the match when you really need someone to step up and stake a claim, win the ball, take the pressure off the defence? That's exactly what he was doing at that point in time. And, you look at the goalkeepers we've had. I don't want to be rude, but I mean, you look at the goalkeepers we've had since I've supported the club. I mean, it's been catastrophic, really, when you go down the charge sheet. It's really is. I don't really want to go into that, but yeah, it's been a long line of pretty botched recruitment in that department, which finally has been rectified. So really, really good. I think another thing I would say is that I think his communication with the defence as well, his mentality, I think he's got a winning mentality. He's played at a high level in Europe, at the top level in the Europa League. He knows a lot about the game, and I think it's been one of Mowbray's, if not Mowbray's, best signing, which is quite a statement to make when you look at some of the value for money signings that he's had in his time here. But yeah, I think Kaminski's got to go right to the top of that list.
Well, you don't need to say anything to me about Thomas Kaminski because I love the man. So keep talking about him if you want. He's great.
I can carry on if you want for another 10 minutes.
For all those reasons. Joe, is there anyone you want to pick out today for a good performance?
Oh, they've all been mentioned, haven't they? I think my man of the match was Jarrad Brantwaite. I thought he was absolutely incredible. Just everything he does. He's one of my favourite players at the moment. He just like Lenihan, he just gets so stuck in, and the tackle where he kind of hurt himself was one of the best tackles I've seen at Ewood this season. It was not just because it was so aggressive and he got stuck in, but because it was so well timed and it was just a different level, really. A tackle that Darragh Lenihan we see often, and a Lewis Travis type tackle, and there were a couple more of them in the game. And he won every header back over the halfway line. We heard Mowbray talk about Tosin last year. A player where every goal kick that came forward went back over that halfway line. Although I would say that Sluga in the Luton net had a terrible game with his distribution. I think every other kick struggled to beat his own centre backs. And obviously Sean Morris, I know you're watching, and I think you can be frustrated with the referee, but I thought Luton definitely let themselves down today in some of their build-up and in some of their defensive areas. They definitely provided a little bit going forward, but I thought Rovers were the better side throughout. But yeah, Jarrad Brantwaite for me, just incredible game. Much better with his ball playing, and he just looked comfortable. And every week he's just going to keep growing in confidence. And he's 18 years old. He's only a year older than Harvey Elliott. People keep forgetting that. Just because he's 6'5" and he could probably spark all of us out if he wanted to. He's still a really young lad. So he's younger than me, which is mental.
Wait till you're like my age, and pretty much every player in the football league is younger than you. So. You ain't seen nothing yet, seriously.
Stuart Downing.
Oh, Stuart Downing's older than me, actually. Glenn, is he older than you, Stuart Downing?
How old is he?
36 going on 7? 37?
Ah, no, younger than him. We're all right.
Still hard for you guys.
Sorry. Just on Sean Morris, because I feel like we're having a debate with him now. I mean... I couldn't tell you the chance Luton had apart from the offside goal that wasn't given. Rovers had all the chances. Adam Armstrong in the first half should have scored and didn't. The chance he did put away, you're expecting him to hit the back of the net. Some really poor defending there from Luton. I think we had to throw our weight around a bit. And we did have to, Travis getting a yellow card and whatnot. But Rovers were far superior, and that'll show in the table at the end of the season. And I reckon you should leave it there, mate, because you're not going to get any sympathy from us with the way that we were treated down at your place last time, eh?
Well said,
Gavin
Joe,
Wood
well
special.
Before we move on, I'll just come back into the comments. So lots of love, like I'm pleased to see, for Thomas Kaminski. Leap year man, Kaminski is everything that Walton wasn't. Jack Hamer, Dak a better signing and Armstrong, but yeah, Kaminski is up there. Mr. Concept, Kaminski is a 15 million plus keeper. Ross Gibson, Kaminski has been different class for us. And then Ollie James. So Ryan, if Armour is worth 10 million, what are you valuing Tommy K at? Absolutely priceless. He's not for sale ever. He's ours. So I'm not putting a value on it because I get myself into trouble when I put values on things. I've got no concept of money. I just want to talk about one more player, just because we did say we would, and a few comments came in. Dan, FM Works came in at 5:41. I said Dolan should start on the left today. We should start him against lesser sides more. And then Michael Pearson, Dolan changed the game for me from looking comfortable. Luton were in a spin and scared of his pace. Absolutely. And that was picked up in the commentary as well by Neil and Warren. Luton definitely started backing off, and Matty Pearson also went off injured as well, didn't he, on that side? So Glenn, I just want to come to you on this one. Well, let's talk about the subs. 4 subs in any game is pretty unprecedented, and you don't see that very often. So Gallagher, Dolan, Dak, and Holtby all came on, and they've all played their parts in different ways. Obviously, Holtby and Gallagher have combined for the goal for Armstrong. But Tyrese Dolan made a big contribution today, didn't he? Just being direct, going at Luton. And we spoke about that on the pre-stream, actually, to say this is going to be a game that's low scoring. Luton don't score many and also don't concede many. So we might need to be direct. And we picked out Ben Brereton before the game, actually, as the one who might just run at them a little bit. But actually, Dolan's probably done that the best today, hasn't he? And really put Luton on the back foot a bit.
Yeah, I think I don't like 4 subs at once. And I don't like changing kind of 2/3 of the midfield. It's a lot of change for me. And I said it out loud today, and I said it at Middlesbrough, but both times the changes worked. Against Middlesbrough, we just scored, and I thought, do we really want to change all this? But it made us more dynamic. It gave us an option going forward. And today, again, it's changed the game again. So I saw one of the comments before, if you're going to criticise Mowbray, you've got to praise him as well for making those changes. And I think a lot lies with him for that. But Dolan, I think, let's not forget, he was one of our better players till Harvey Elliott came along. And he's very unfortunate to not be starting every week, really. It's only because there is another player that's probably technically a bit better than him that can fit in a few different holes. But he came on, he got on the ball, he was driving at people, he was cutting inside, like you said. I think the commentator even said Matty Pearson has had enough, he needs to go off now. He's seen Dolan running at him again, he's going, there's nothing wrong with him. And I think that's right, he just adds a different dynamic to it. He's just chalk on his boots, runs wide, and he seems like a really decent guy as well. I've seen a lot of his stuff on Twitter and things, and you think he's going the right way, and yeah, proud to have him at Rovers, to be honest.
Absolutely. He's a great lad, and that comes through loud and clear on social media. So we'll go through the game in a bit of detail then, as we usually do, and pick out all the different talking points and the different things. So Rovers fans, keep commenting in the comments, guide our discussion. We will pick them up as we usually do. So Joe, I'm going to start with you and then work my way round. On the pre-stream, as I say, we spoke about the importance of potentially getting the early goal, scoring first, and not allowing this game to become what it ultimately did, 0-0 after half-time, and then Luton sitting in and using those tactics. We started pretty well, didn't we? And we had that golden opportunity from Adam Armstrong. So I just want to talk about Armstrong first. Do you think he scores that earlier on in the season? Did you just detect an air of hesitation, or was it just a really good tackle from, I think it was Matty Pearson, or it could have been Sonny Bradley? What's your view on that big Armour chance really early on?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the pitch played a factor in almost every chance we had today. It was always going to be a headed goal, wasn't it? Because I mean, 2 or 3 from different players blazing over and having took big bobbles off the pitch. And I wonder whether the pitch being so leggy just made him think I'll kind of cut back inside and get it on my right. But it was a good tackle. He should have shot earlier, and I'm sure if he had the chance again, he'd do things differently. I mean, we've always said this of Adam Armstrong. He's got 18 goals and he doesn't score all his chances, really. He isn't the most clinical player in the world at all. If he put all of his chances away, he'd be on 30 already. So I don't know if he would have scored it earlier in the season because, he would have potentially missed the header then. Yes, it was a good tackle. Yes, he should have gone earlier. But Adam Armstrong's like that. He does miss big chances, but he always puts one in anyway.
Yeah. And Joe, I'll just stick with you quickly because I know you've posted something in the chat. You've picked up some comments from Tony Mowbray about Adam Armstrong, haven't you? Just what's he said after the game?
Yeah, so I haven't got an exact quote just yet, but obviously after the last game, he made some comments about Adam Armstrong and whether he was ready for the Premier League. And he's kind of made some comments again today, which I'm sure will come out from Jacob and Rich and the likes over the next couple of days, claiming that he would be a bench player in the Premier League and that there's not been any serious interest from Premier League managers and clubs. So, I don't know whether that's kind of trying to play down his abilities because we're still in the window. And then as soon as we're out of it, he'll be singing his praises again. But to be honest, it wasn't Adam's best game. He was all out on the right-hand side for a lot of the first half because Ben Brereton played a bit more central. And we saw the best of Adam Armstrong at championship level today. But I think Tony's probably justified in saying that he would struggle to score as many goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'll probably end up eating my hat on Monday night for saying this, but I just think whilst Armstrong's contract isn't signed, why would a Premier League club pay over the odds when they know that in the summer they can spend less and then beyond that they can spend less whilst he's not signed that contract? So unless there is a major panic or a transfer that goes wrong at a Premier League club, hopefully we've got Armour to stay for the rest of the season. Yeah. But, we'll cover it in a bit of detail in a moment. The winning goal, championship, goal scorers, right place, right time. That's where we want him. He gets the winning goal. So all good in the end. Alex, you were with us on the pre-stream. As I say, we spoke about the importance of the early goal, getting on the front foot, and you went bold and said we would score in the first half. We just saw a gradual decline, didn't we, in Rovers as we fell off the pace. I think the first 15, 20 minutes, we looked really on it. We were popping it about a bit. We looked fluid, even with that pitch. But then we just seemed to fall away, didn't we? And Luton were coming back into it, and you were just thinking that sucker punch was going to happen. How did you see that first half, as it played out in the end?
I thought it was a very similar first half to the Borough game, only that we had a longer, good spell at the start. At the Borough game, I thought we had a pretty good first 10 minutes, and then we kind of faded. I felt like we had a good first 25 minutes today and then faded away. What I would say is I think that all of the mistakes and all the chances that Luton had came from, they came from our self-inflicted errors. I mean, giving the ball away in the centre of the pitch, giving the ball away in the wrong areas, allowing Luton to break on you, in threes and fours. And we saw that at points during the game as it got more scrappy. I think what I would say is that I think the player that epitomised the, should I say, falling off a bit was Travis, because I think at the start of the match, he was, getting into those tackles, really kind of showing his top form, in my opinion. We're starting to see the best of him again. And I thought as the game wore on, he tired slightly. And, you started to see that sloppiness creep into his game, giving the ball away in bad areas. And I think that kind of influenced the team a bit. This isn't to dig at Travis at all. I think on his day, he's one of our best players. And, he would always get in my first 11. So there's no criticism there. But, yeah, he's still coming back to full fitness. And I think you can see that in his performances. You have that good, strong start, and then you see that tail off. I think I don't want to bring this up, but, Bradley Johnson in the comms just before half-time said, we're going in at 0-0. And, it's 35 minutes in. We still had 10 minutes to go. And I don't know if there's an manager saying, if we've not scored by X time in the game, just keep it tight until half-time.
It was a leading question, though, wasn't it, though? I mean,
yeah.
You did ask him that question at that time. I mean, because we mentioned that.
I don't know whether It is a tough one. I don't know whether that was just a leading question, as you said, Joe. That's a fair point, or whether it speaks to just a mentality in the squad of, oh, it's 35 minutes. Let's just get into half time at 0-0. Let's just not concede a goal and then get on it, after half time and go again. Bring a few players on after 60 minutes. So I just wonder whether there is a bit of a tactical thing around that. I'd be interested to know, whether there is an instruction to keep it tight late on in the first half and not concede goals. It'd be interesting to know that. But yeah, another really good start. But yeah, kind of faded away a bit. And really that was due to our own sloppiness at times. But like I say, if you're sloppy going forward and sloppy passing through the lines, it's important you keep that defensive solidity. And I think at times today, believe it or not, I thought we looked far better when we went direct from the centre-backs, from Lenihan punting it up to Armstrong, who kind of dropped off the Luton's defence a little bit. When Armstrong dropped off the Luton defence and Lenihan played those long balls, I think that was really, on that horrendous pitch, it was the times when I thought we looked like we would create a chance. So yeah, certainly a lot of things to ponder, with regards to that.
Yeah, Ollie James in the comments here. Travis looked tired today, dwelled on the ball a few times and giving the ball away and looked a little slower closing down than last week. Certainly second half, I noticed that he tired. And I do just wonder, had Corey Evans not been coming back from such a long time out and he was fresh and probably a more viable sub, and also if it wasn't 0-0, particularly with the booking that Travis had, I wonder if Corey Evans might have come on in that game. But he got there in the end, Travis. He lasted the 90 minutes, so good to see. So, Glenn, going to come to you then. 0-0 at half-time again. And then I think it was more of the same in the second half, wasn't it? Just probably a flatter game in many respects until those 4 subs. So we've touched on it slightly. What was your initial thought about the 4 subs at the time? Could you see some of the logic, particularly with some of the players coming off? You're thinking about a game that's 0-0. Taking someone off like Joe Rothwell and Ben Brereton, 2 players who we picked out before the game as our direct runners at Luton. Could you see the method in what Mowbray was doing at that point?
I think I touched on it before. I will never see the method in making that many changes. It cries football manager, I'm getting beat. I need to change everything all at once. But it works. And there must be something they're working on to make that number of changes at the same time. And I think what he did do was he changed the way we played. You take Joe Rothwell off, you take Ben Brereton and you replace them with Holtby and Dolan. They're 2 completely different players, and maybe it does make the opposition think a bit more and think, well, we've been quite happy keeping Rothwell contained in the middle, and we've not really had anything from Brereton out wide. So I think it did work, and you can't really criticise Mowbray for that. I was surprised to see Travis stay on the pitch, though. I thought he'd been booked by that point, and I think there was an instance we said about him looking a little bit leggy. A bit after that, he won the ball back and he kind of got us up the field to halfway line, played the ball off, and there was no following the ball. He was stood there on his haunches. You could tell he was naked. And I think we've got to remember, he was out for a long time. He's not going to be 100% fit. And I think, like you said today, we've not really got another option if we take him off after we've made those subs. I potentially would have left Stuart Downing on and maybe lost Travis, but it turned out well in the end. And I thought the subs worked well. But I'm not keen on 3 or 4 subs all at once. And when they changed the rules and it was you could make so many subs, I was like, Mowbray's going to go to town with this. He's going to be making multiple changes. I mean, I think one of my biggest criticisms of Mowbray in the past is changing too much at once. From kind of like first season back up in the Championship, we'd go 1 goal down and he'd make 3 subs, and before you knew it, we were 2 or 3-0 down because no one really knew where they were slotting in. But I think there's more of a plan now. I think he makes those 3 or 4 changes and everybody knows what's expected of him. I think Harvey Elliott looked a little bit frustrated to be going off at the time, and you think, well, maybe that wasn't the plan, but I think it worked well, and he does deserve praise for that.
Absolutely. And Joe, I'm going to come to you because I think it was the Stoke game, but it could have been the Doncaster game. I think you were particularly critical of the way Mowbray set up the side in that 4-2-3-1 formation at that point, and he did switch to that today when he made those subs. How do you feel that worked in the second half when he made those changes?
Really frustrating. We played 3 different formations today, and I in my mind, you've got to set up in a way and kind of stick with it. I mean, we've won the game, so I can't complain. He's a manager, I'm not. But 3 formations, it just seems way too choppy and changey for me. How are players supposed to know where they're supposed to be when the 4-3-3 requires a fullback to be positioned completely differently to the 4-2-2-2, etc., etc. So to change a formation 3 times, once at half time and then once in the middle of play with 4 subs, is, to me, excessive. I thought it left Holtby really weirdly deep, like behind the centre-backs at times. It was odd. Gallagher is used to it. Obviously, Dak can play there, but it was just a very odd formation to switch to. And obviously, in the end, we've got a goal, but I don't think the goal comes as a result of a formation change. I think the goal comes from some intuitive play to get the ball into the box quickly. So I wouldn't be reading too much into the correlation between the formation change and the goal. But fair play to Sam Gallagher for the nod down, obviously. Kept nice and calm, and nice to see Adam get a headed goal. But I don't want to be seeing 3 different formations in one fixture. Way too meddled for me.
Yeah, and you've done a nice link for me into the next part, which, the final 10 minutes or 5 minutes even had all of the talking points. So, Alex, I'm going to come to you first. Luton slowly but surely started to just slow down, do things with the ball, etc., etc. And again, we said it on the other side, and we said it before the game. Luton don't concede many goals. They're tight, and we could see the reason why today. But a big contributor to their downfall today, let's not beat around the bush. That guy going down when he gets the ball pinged at him was a disgrace, and going down in that way. The referee stopping the game to do that as well was also disgraceful. I don't know why he did. You could see the ball clearly didn't hit him on the head. So why he stopped the game, I don't know. But actually, this has given Rovers the opening that they needed at that point. Fair play Lewis Holtby. He switched on. Fair play Sam Gallagher. He's ready to receive that ball in the box. And all that stuff we've said about Adam Armstrong, fair play, championship top goal scorer. He's in the right place in that 6-yard box to get the header. So first and foremost, what's your thoughts on the stuff leading up to the goal, and did Luton get what they deserve with that?
It seems to be a recurring theme every time we play Luton for some reason. There's always a controversy around the referee. There's always some sort of dispute on the touchline. I always feel coming away from a game against Luton like both sides have been mugged off in a weird way. I don't know why I always feel like that, but there just seems to be an air about the manager, very confrontational, very abrasive, I think. And I think we saw that throughout the second half. You 2 blatant dives in the second half, disgraceful, really, really disgraceful diving. And then, as you say, the feigning of a head injury at the back end of the game. It felt like we were a jumbo jet trying to take off from the runway, trying to get the goal, and we had just had a bird strike on our rotation, and we were just like going, we just couldn't get off the ground. It was kind of like we were stuttering. But what I'm really pleased about is, like you say, the players had the foresight to get in the right area at the right time. I criticised Sam Gallagher in the pre-match stream for never really nailing down a place in this side consistently. And I said, didn't I? He goes through cycles of coming off the bench and making a contribution and making it impossible to not drop him. And then he gets in the team for 2 or 3 games and doesn't really, hold his weight in the side. And once again, he comes off the bench and makes a contribution. He gets an assist. And so I really, really don't know what we need to do with Sam Gallagher, if I'm being honest with you. It's one of the great conundrums. He seems like a real impact player off the bench at times. We get a lot out of him, and then Mowbray starts him quite rightly on merit, and he doesn't really back that up with performances. So that's certainly one to hold out for. And then, as you say, Armstrong gets the goal. And I think there's been a bit of worry lately about Armstrong. A bit of, thinking, is he snatching at things? Is he getting a bit frustrated? Is it nerves? Is it wanting him to, get in the shot window in January? Quite possibly it is. And that frustration of not getting goals has led him to snatch at things. But, as you say, as Joe maybe rightly pointed out, maybe the only goal he could have scored today was with his head. He didn't have to think about it too much. And it was more of an instinctive finish. And, that wins us the game in the end, doesn't it? And we're all here now dissecting it. So, really happy that the players had the foresight to take a quick free kick and get us the goal, because like Joe said, often we talk, quite elaborately about formations and systems and, certain ways players play, but often it's just those key moments in games, those set pieces that decide them.
It is, and again, you've linked me brilliantly to what I want to come to Glenn to as a member of the 30-something club, like Lewis Holtby. Lewis Holtby has come under a bit of criticism recently in terms of his performances and where he fits into the side. He's been in and out. But Holtby's a player that's played at the top level. And when that drop ball's gone down today, this is what separates the top players from your amateurs and your average players, just to have that quickness of thought. And fair play to Sam Gallagher as well for being on that same wavelength. He can see what Holtby's doing and he's made that run. And then also fair play to Armstrong as well. The three of them, absolutely hats off to him. But just a focus on Holtby for just having that sharpness of thought there.
I'll come back to that just to follow on from what Alex has said. There is no better way to win than a team to time waste like they did hiding the balls at Luton last year. And then you to go and win it in the last minute of all the time that they've added on. That is the perfect way to win for me. Stick it right to them. And there was an element of that today. I think I mentioned it on the last post-match against Stoke when players were going down, holding the head, and then started holding the legs. And it's purely to stop the game. And it's not right. It's cheating. And it's nice today that the guy's gone down. He's not got a head injury. The ref's given the drop ball, and we've taken the drop ball and done something with it. And it just feels like a little bit of kind of just rewards, really, that the better teams come through with that in that kind of sense. In terms of Holtby, I remember him coming off the bench for his Rovers debut. I can't remember who it was against. And you could tell he was Reading, yeah. And you could tell he was a split second faster than every other player on the pitch, not in terms of legs, but in terms of a football brain. And he was playing that ball before other players had thought of it. And I think there's an element of that today. He's seen the opportunity. Like you say, they've got to be on the same wavelength for Gallagher and Armstrong to be onside but pushing forward. And you do need that football brain. I mean, I remember when Spurs signed him, and I was really excited for him as a player. And part of me thinks, is his problem, where do you play him? Is he a number 10? Is he a winger? Does he play centre mid? What's his role? When we signed him, I thought, well, we've signed Holt because Dak's on his way, and then obviously Dak got injured. But I don't think he is a number 10. I think he's kind of almost like a deep-lying playmaker / central midfielder. And I think that maybe is his problem, and that's why he gets criticism. I don't think we really know what he is. He's a quality player. I don't think you can doubt that. And he has got a brilliant footballing brain. But where you slot him in that side when everyone's fit, I'm not sure where he fits. In terms of Gallagher, just to touch on where he fits, I remember I might be doing Solskjaer a discredit here, but he never really did anything when he started the game. But off the bench, Solskjaer was unbelievable for Man United. Is Gallagher a similar sort of player who's going to be that off the bench? Obviously not the same quality as Solskjaer, but that player that's going to come off the bench and create something and get a goal, because it is a different game when you come on after an hour to when you start a game. You're hitting the game at 100 miles an hour rather than growing into it, and maybe he benefits from that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not. Before today, I was thinking if Holtby goes in the window, am I too upset? Is it freeing up some wages for somebody else? But then a moment of quality like that, to have that thought to get the ball down and play it, and to deliver the quality as well, he's kind of what he's there for, and probably earns himself to the end of the season at least.
Absolutely. And just before we go into the other mad minute in the final mad minute, I'll just go into the comments here. So Callum Robinson at 6:04 p.m. What goes around comes around. When you play like that, you get what you deserve. Ross Gibson, I think Gallagher's best position is on the left of a front three. Ollie Hayworth, QPR, Preston and Barnsley. Do you think we can build on the 2 wins and put pressure on the top 6? We'll do a little nod to the next few games at the end of the show, Ollie. Nadeem, hopefully we can use the same ideas next time anyone tries to use them time-wasting tactics. Alexander Haben, we need the best of Holtby. Really like Holtby at his best. Luke Kimberley, Ollie Gunner, Galley. And then, whoa, steady your horses there, Glenn. We don't need Galley becoming manager. I like it. Joe, I'm going to come to you for the other big talking point. Luton Town had a goal disallowed, and I think you have retrieved an image as well, which might support whether this was offside or not. So do you want to just talk us through this?
Well, yeah, this is stolen from the BRFCS forums, but I'm pretty confident that the offside is for the header here after the initial cross. The lad at the back post who knocks it back across, he's in an offside position just behind Nyambe there, I think, as this ball is nodded on. Although Glenn also alluded to the idea that perhaps then after play presumed after that and moved forward slightly, the players at the back post, one of them had ventured off the pitch and was therefore in an offside position. So Nathan Jones admitted he hadn't really seen it back, but was confused about the decision. But I think there might be two potential offsides in there. So if you want to have a look at that for yourself in a bit more higher quality, you can head over to the forums, or I'm sure somebody will have it on Twitter.
Absolutely. So looking at that picture, it looks like it might have been offside there for Joe, but just give me a summary of your thoughts at that moment in time after the elation of Armstrong's what looked like being a winner. We were nearly taken right back to typical Blackburn Rovers with that, weren't we? And a bit of a sucker punch equaliser. So how were you feeling at that point?
Yeah, difficult. I think there was some really poor defending in that set piece. But other than that, I thought we defended set pieces quite well today. So difficult one, but Barry Douglas did well on the line, which only added to his decent game today. Yeah, I mean, we got the rub of the green last week, and we got the rub of the green this week, and teams that get promoted need that. And that's the way it's gone today. So I guess it was just pure relief, really, more than anything. And you look at the league table now, 3 points off the playoffs with a game in hand on Middlesbrough, 1 point above us. And all of a sudden, I mean, Bradley Johnson made a comment today. I think somebody said something in the comments. I can't remember who it was. But Bradley Johnson on commentary said, well, who says we can't even push further than that, which I think is absolute nonsense. But it's nice to hear him say it. Because you want your players confident, and when you've got a goalkeeper like Thomas Kaminski and players like Barry Douglas who are going to put their bodies on the line like that, and block shots on the line, then you can be confident, can't you?
Yeah, I agree with you as well, Joe. I think top two, even if you do go on an Aston Villa style run, what did they do? Something like 10 wins and 11, and they still only came fourth, I think it was, after being somewhere similar to where Rovers were. So you're relying on loads of results swinging your way and going on some ridiculous run of form, which, yeah, it's nice to get the manner of the victory like we did today, and good that we've got 2 wins in a row. But there needs to be an air of realism there. It doesn't there. So I agree with you, Joe. But top 6, right back in scope now. So let's see. Alex, I'm just going to come on to you just for this final incident that happened at the end of the game. Yeah, it was a horrible feeling when Luton slammed the ball in the back of the net. But I just want to draw out Barry Douglas because Joe's teed that up nicely. He's had his critics this season. But I think the last few games, we've seen him at the level that we were probably thinking he was at Leeds and Wolves. And even though it was an offside goal, what an unbelievable clearance on the line as well. So how did you think Barry Douglas played today?
I think his whole performance is insignificant in the grand scheme of things, as long as he makes that clearance on that goal line at the end. I think, you can cry awfully for 90 minutes, but if you're in the right place at the right time when it really, really matters, that is what counts in football. Often games are decided by 2 or 3 just key moments, and it's just about being in the right place at the right time, often down to a bit of pot luck. And as it happens, Barry Douglas was in the right place at the right time. He got on the line where he should have been, and he made the clearance that, saved us the game in the end. And so, yeah, I think you've got to view his performance in that context. I think what we've seen recently is a bit more confidence. I think he possibly was shaken a little bit by the Reading game, I think, in particular, when he had that incident at the kick-off where he had that a bit of bad fortune where the ball bounced off the back of his heel. And I really think that he's never been the same confidence-wise since then, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's always looked like he's worried about making a mistake and worried about the role that he has to play in this team. I think Mowbray demands a lot of the fullbacks. They've got to push very, very high. He doesn't have much protection from the players in front of him at times. And I think you see that in the terms of his hesitancy at points. But, I think it does show the fickle nature of football fans that, some fans were calling for Douglas to be sent back to Leeds about a month ago, and I saw one of the comments before saying that we should erect a statue outside of 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎 Park. So I think that just shows you the pendulum of football fans' attitude, but that's why we're in the game, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And, quality players, the quality does shine through in the end, like what we've touched on with Lewis Holtby today. He's not been at his best, but he's delivered the killer moment in the game today with that vision of the pass. So, quality does rise in the end. Just before we pick up the final order of business, just to go back into the comments, Luke Kimberley, we drew a referee decision to go our way, had 2 in recent games, even themselves out over a season. I think in the private chat, we were talking about Armstrong's disallowed goal a few weeks ago. That's an obvious one. And then Michael Pearson, Douglas looks much fitter. That could be the main difference. And thought it was really interesting what Bradley Johnson was saying on the co-commentary, actually, about the intensity of training. And he said it was his hardest pre-season that he's had in his career, I think he said. So clearly Mowbray's got this side playing high energy, high tempo, and maybe that took a bit of adjustment for Barry Douglas to get used to. As much as he had it at Leeds with Bielsa, he didn't play much last season, so maybe his body has just had to come through a little adjustment period, and now we're seeing the best of him. So the final bit that we're going to focus on is just a nod to the next few games then. And Glenn, I'm going to start with you first, work our way round, and then we will close the stream in about 5 or so minutes. I said on the other side last night and after the Middlesbrough game as well, that if you can follow that Middlesbrough game up with a win, are we starting a run of fixtures, a run of victories, or whatever? So we'll just bring up the next few fixtures, the next 6 in February, I think it is. So QPR away, followed by Preston at home, Barnsley away, Forest away, then 2 home games at the end of the month, Watford at home, Coventry at home. So 3 away, 3 at home. What's your thoughts on those fixtures? Where are the difficult ones going to be? What are you thinking? Give us your thoughts.
I think my concern is we've got a bit of momentum now, and I'm kind of a bit of a believer in this, that you get momentum and teams change how they play against you. So we had that good run at the start of the season. Teams started coming, sitting in and making it difficult to break them down. And all of a sudden, games that look winnable on paper aren't the same game as if you played 2 weeks before when you're in that run of form and no one's expecting it. My concern with those fixtures is we go to QPR, get a point. A point would be brilliant at QPR for me. I think that keeps the run going. I'd take a 0-0 now, probably. Just keep the clean sheet going. Keep that run going. Preston at home, I'd love 3 points. I mean, they've just lost is it Ben Pearson in the middle has just gone to Bournemouth? I think that's a massive loss for them. I think he's the kind of engine in the middle, and I think we'll potentially, hopefully, see the benefits of that. I think the game that concerns me a little bit is Barnsley, and it's just that game on paper that you look at, it's only Barnsley, and then we don't win that, and it's bottled it again and all that. But I don't think Barnsley are a team full of donkeys. I think they're a decent side. I think they're a team on the up, and I'd take a point there perhaps as well. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I'd probably take a point from every game and we'd never get anywhere. But I just think, get a point at QPR, beat Preston, point against Barnsley, and still be in and around there, picking up points off teams around us. And all of a sudden, you've got kind of a bit of momentum with Forest away is never an easy game. I don't know. Just if you want to flash those fixtures back up again, I was trying to tally up how many points I thought we'd get. So say 1 from QPR, got to say 3 from Preston, 1 from Barnsley puts us on 5. Take a point off Forest, and then maybe 4 from the last 2. So what's that put us on? Kind of 10 points, I think. Is it 9 or 10 points? I don't know. I don't know whether people would be happy with that return or not. I hope we don't get to this. We've not beaten Barnsley or we've not beaten QPR and they've bottled an opportunity, because it drives me mad. Does that? It's not. It's horses for courses. Teams change how they play against you based on your recent form, I believe, and I think it's a token of respect in many regards. What probably works in our favour is QPR, Barnsley, and Forest are at QPR, Barnsley, and Forest, and not at Ewood. And I know fans won't be back in them, but there is a bit of an onus on them to come out a bit more and bring the game to us. So maybe that works in our favour. And also, it's on somebody else's pitch who can't be as bad as ours, so that might work in a favour as well.
Yeah, and just looking at these fixtures before I go into the comments, I don't know when they're going to relay the pitch or do something to the pitch, but there is a little window of opportunity, isn't there, between Preston and Watford? Can we do something to the pitch there, or even between now and Preston? I don't know. We'll see what happens just to sort that pitch out. I've not seen any further word on that. Just coming into the comments, Leap Year Man. Every game is difficult in the Championship. We have to take one at a time. Kevin Bradshaw, out of those games, I'd take 10 points. Glenn taking a point against Barnsley. Go and have a long, hard look at yourself. Michael Pearson, Barnsley were great at Ewood. And then Wilco, February will be an emotional roller coaster and the games can't come quick enough. Just on Barnsley, I absolutely agree with you, Glenn. I think they are a team really on the up and they've clearly got a plan off the pitch now as well. When I spoke to Andy, the legendary Barnsley fan, he's spoken to us about what they've got in place now at that club and how they fit the managers into the philosophy, and they've got good young players coming through. So they are completely up there on merit. I think out of those fixtures, if you bring them up again, Dan, I think the one that I'd really love to see us win, aside from Preston, is that Watford game. I think two things have haunted us this season. One is when we go on these runs, we win loads and then lose loads or don't win loads or whatever. And then the other is our record against those sides above us. And Watford at that point are still likely to be in the top 6. So we've got to beat a side that's in that top 6. So if we can win that Watford game in particular and maybe get some good points before that Watford game, that could just maybe be one that we're looking at as a really important game in our season. So we'll see. Joe, I'm going to come to you. Looking at those games, anything standing out? What are you hoping for out of the next 6?
Oh gosh, QPR obviously. I don't know. I think as Glenn's alluded to, a month from now we'll be in a completely different vein of form, and Coventry will be where they are, and there'll be players injured that aren't now and players back that aren't currently available. And it is hard to look over 6 games and guess, but I would say I fully expect us to beat Preston. I think we'll do the double over them for the first time in God knows how long. I just think we're already a pretty poor and thin side already, but with Fisher and Pearson gone, I just don't think they've got the quality. I think their fullback areas were already stretched and we really exposed them on the wings with our 4-3-3. And now with Fisher gone too, I expect us to win that game comfortably. And hopefully under the lights. And I think it's on Sky. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm just really fearing that one. Barnsley will suit us because they want to play some football. Forest, I think, are shocking. So we should get something there. Watford, we played so well at their place. You'd hope for a draw in that one. And Coventry, we've beaten them heavily, and we'd expect to beat them. So for me, the big bogey ones are QPR, Barnsley and Forest. Because I think there's not too much pressure on the Watford game. There's a hell of a lot of pressure on the Preston game, and I would expect us to beat Coventry. So really, really tough run of games, but I think any 6 would be.
Yeah, and just coming back into the comments before I come to you, Alex. We will 23SW. There's no point aspiring to top 6 if we can't take points from other teams up there. Ollie James, how many points do you predict we will need from those 6 games to be in the playoff places? 12. I mean, I've always said before, Ollie, that if you can kind of be at an average of around, 2 points per game or just less than that, then, you're kind of on a good run of points there. So, yeah, 12 points from 6 games would be about that, most certainly. Just going back to that Watford game, I think if we can have maybe a couple of wins and a couple of draws, 8 points leading up to that Watford game, that would be a good return for us, I think. And if we can then go and beat Watford and, be on a good run in that way, that could just, maybe shape the season a little bit. I'm looking at that Watford game out of those. If we've been on a good run and then get to Watford, that's the one I'm looking at. Alex, you've got the final word on the games. What are you hoping for from those 6 games? What do you think we need? How are you viewing them?
Well, I think as Glenn and Joe said, you can't really say where the 6th place team will be in 6 games' time. It's too far in the distance to maybe predict that. I think the one thing I would say is the Preston game's on my 21st birthday, so we better bloody win. And if we lose the other 5, I couldn't care less as long as we win that one. But in all seriousness, you look at those 6 games, all 3 away games are against teams below us in the division, and you've got to be going into every home game looking to pick up the 3 points. You know, at this stage in the season and where we are in the division, you can't be going into any home game playing for a point. You've got to be going into every home game looking for the win. So, like you've alluded to, probably 12 points would be what we need to get to be in the hunt and competing. What do I think we'll get? That's a different matter altogether. I think the one game I worry about from those is Barnsley. Historically, we've got a pretty poor record at Barnsley, and I was very, very impressed with them at Ewood, I have to say. I thought they were one of the best sides we've played this season, and they've certainly picked up an awful lot since we played them in terms of league position and results. So when I look at those sets of games, it's probably the Watford game and the Barnsley game that I'm worried about. Yeah, I think 12 points would be an exceptionally good return and would probably have us in and around it.
Definitely. Well, thank you to the 3 of you for giving your views on the game tonight. Always brilliant when we get a winner in the last 5 or so minutes, and a little wobble at the end with the disallowed goal, but great to follow up that Middlesbrough game with a good victory today as well. So it's 2 wins from the last 2. We'll go to QPR in some good confidence and hopefully pick up the points as well. Just a few things before we finish. If you've joined us for the first time tonight, please follow us on Twitter. We are rovers_chat on Twitter. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, it is Rovers Chat on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button as we edge towards 1,000 subscribers. Lots of transfer chat and other things that Tony Mowbray has said tonight about Harry Pickering and potential left backs. Please join Jonathan Secker and friends on Monday from about 8:30 p.m. We'll put it out on the Rovers Chat website. We'll be doing a live stream from around that point to the end of deadline day, around 11 p.m. We've got Jacob and hopefully Rich from the Lancs Telegraph joining Jonathan to hopefully give us some exclusives as well. So mark your calendar for that one on Monday evening. That will be good. Joe, thanks for joining us again tonight, mate. Good to see you.
No problem. Thanks very much. And I will see you next time, I'm sure.
You will indeed. Alex, thanks for joining us twice today. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you've taken my whole afternoon up. So, you know, I've taken everyone else's afternoon up who's watched these streams, and you guys have taken my whole afternoon out. So, yeah, it's been good, and it's always good to get a win. And I just like to thank everyone who's watched and takes the time to watch. You know, it's a fan-run channel. You know, we do this for no money whatsoever. And as I said, I think we're close to 1,000 now on YouTube. So please can, you know, if you're not subscribed, please go and subscribe. It will, you know, help the site out an awful lot and really be a good milestone for all of us. So just thanks for watching, and we just really enjoy doing these streams for you.
Absolutely. And Glenn, you've made me so jealous throughout this whole stream because you've had a beer in your hand. So I'm going to go and get one after this stream. Thank you for joining us tonight as well.
Oh, cheers for having me. Always good after a win, and thanks for hosting, Ryan. It's brilliant as always.
Absolutely is. And Dan, if you can just pick off those comments that have been coming in, just with the thanks from everyone. We really appreciate everyone's support. You know, Mr. Concept, new names that we've seen coming in as well today. Really good stuff. Really appreciate your support. And as we put out on the Rovers Chat Twitter the other day, really difficult time for everyone at the moment with lockdown. Some people who live alone, some people who aren't getting the thrill of the games anymore. As always, our Rovers Chat Twitter DM is always open. If things feel difficult, please reach out. All of our individual Twitter handles are also available. Please follow us, send us a message. Please reach out. We will be back at the games eventually, I promise you. But until then, let's stick together. Let's keep doing this on a Saturday. We love it. We'll keep bringing you the content. And as we always do, we will leave you with our sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. Thanks a lot.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.